Everybody, to another podcast sponsored by Women's Rights Publishing and Author Services. I'm Ted Huntington, and I am here with Mandy Eve-Barnett, another fabulous author of numerous works, including Fireflies and Fairy Dust, The Commodore's Gift, Life in Slake Patch, and several other books as well, which you're going to talk about. And the goal, the objective of these podcasts is to talk about your work, how you develop your books, and to offer some great information for other female writers and really all writers in general.
Sure.
So why don't we start with welcome Mandy, who is right now in Canada.
I am.
So we are international here. So
exactly.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your background as a writer, how you got to this point, and touch on your books and how they developed.
Okay. Oh, sitting comfortably, hopefully. I immigrated to Canada nearly 12 years ago now. You'll tell from my accent I'm English. So we immigrated here, and I'd always been creative in a lot of mediums, artworks and pottery and everything. But for whatever reason, I'd never got into writing. I don't know why, but I never did. So then I just decided when we got here, I should do something creative. And I found a writing group, went to the group's meeting, and I was hooked. That was it, really. I think I'm very fortunate because the group is very supportive and encouraging. And it's one of the things that has propelled me into my writing career.
What was your background before writing?
What, work-wise or hobby-wise? Work-wise.
Well, I guess both.
Crikey. Yes, I mean, before I came to Canada, I was running my own company with my business partner. So, and then we just decided that we wanted to try something different, so we came to Canada. It's a big steep learning curve, but it's I've enjoyed it. It's been new, and I've experienced things I never would have experienced. So yeah, and I just put that into my melting pot of ideas and experiences from the books.
That's what we do, right? As writers, we write what we know.
Exactly.
But talk about that first book. Like, how did that idea form, and why that first book that you published?
So it's a very small book. It's a children's picture book. And when I started writing, I was doing lots of picture and word prompts to sort of get myself into the idea that, you write something from a genus of an idea. So the first book was just a prompt about Halloween. But being me, I flipped it on its head. So it wasn't children getting frightened by a monster, it was the monster going to frighten the children. So then we follow this little monster who is very cute, called Rumble. And that was my first foray into having to write the text, then work with an illustrator, and get what was in my head onto paper. And that was an experience. I enjoyed that. And then from then on, it was following through with ideas. And my basis of a lot of my books is the love of nature, the love of family, friends, but also it encompasses how our world has delights and joys that we really need to take seriously and enjoy. And my daughter, from very young, was into creepy crawlies. And so she would crawl across the lawn and find all these lovely little things and put them in her hand. Never killed anything, and spiders and beetles and everything. So that sort of helped me understand that, you can look out the window and think, yeah, okay, trees. But actually, when you get into the grass, there's like a whole other world there. And being English as well. We have a lot of folk tales and fairies, goblins and elves. So I like to put magic in my children's books as well. Yeah.
And the title of that first book is?
Oh, the first book is called Rumble's First Scare. He's very cute. Yeah.
That's not an adorable monster, yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah. He's very cute. So
And then from there, the next book.
Yeah, the next book, oh goodness, I haven't got them in order, probably not. This was another children's book I did, and this centres around two magical sprites. It's called Ockleberries to the Rescue. There's two magical sprites that live in a forest, and they help all the animals if they get sick or they get ill or anything. So each chapter is a different animal and how they help them. And that was fun. I enjoyed that. Because that's part of how I grew up. I was taught how to identify animals, their tracks, flora and fauna basically. So I brought that all into the book. Yeah, so that was fun.
So which one of your books do you have like the warmest place in your heart for?
Oh, that's like saying which is your favourite child.
Oh, I have one of those. No.
Oh, goodness sake, I don't know.
I'm kidding.
I would
about
have to say my last book that I'm writing is probably my favourite. I mean, I like the others. They sort of stay, they stay with me. But I like to get into a new book, a new story, and see where the characters are going to take me. And I enjoy that process. And most of my books have been free flow. So the idea comes and I just let it go. And it obviously never goes to plan because the characters decide, okay, I'm going to do something else. But the one I'm doing at the moment popped into my head, almost complete, and it's a trilogy of crime stories following some detectives. And I thought, okay, this means I've got to plan because I can't do 3 books without a plan. So I had to look into where the arc is going across the 3 books and then in each book. So I enjoyed that. That was it's a learning curve. But that's why I like writing, because you always learn something new. Even if you're writing, one genre, it may be that it twists into another one, or the story morphs in ways you didn't think about, or a character decides, well, I'm more important than that one.
That's a fabulous point, because as writers, we are learning all the time.
Yeah.
So, yes, you write what you know, but there's so much research that goes into writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also really interesting for our viewers to understand what is in your mindset when you're creating a book. So it's not set with you. Sometimes you have the whole thing formed,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you really have to plan the whole thing out. It really kind of depends on each book. They all have a life of their own.
Oh, most certainly, yes. I mean, my steampunk novel started life off as a short story about 7,000 words. And I really wanted it to go into an anthology somewhere. So I sent it out, found someone that wanted it for an anthology, thought awesome. And then it didn't come to fruition. And then I'm stuck with this story. I'm thinking, what am I going to do with it? So I left it on the shelf for a bit. And then Nano came round. And I love NaNoWriMo because it puts you into a mindset of deadline, which is good for any writer, I think, to make. You can make your own deadlines, but if you've got something like that, it's like, well, I've got to get 50,000 words in 30 days. So I thought, well, I'll make it into a little novella. I'll use Nano and I'll put a bit at the front and a bit at the back and it'll be fine. Well, no. One of the characters decided, I'm more important than everybody else. And the character in the short story is now secondary. And then that sort of morphed into a novel. You're just thinking, okay. But I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy just going with the flow of the story and see where it takes me.
Talk a little more about Nano, because I don't know that everybody knows that. It's
Okay.
very popular, but not everybody knows it.
Okay. So National Novel Writing Month is, well, it's international. You sign up. It's like a personal challenge, and you sign up for November, and in those 30 days, you have to write a minimum of 50,000 words. The first time I was encouraged to do that, the longest piece of work I'd written was about 3 pages. And I was told, you can do that. No, I can't. No, I can't. So then I became completely manic. I didn't do anything. Like, as soon as I got home from work, it's like, right, just children, feed yourself. I'm busy. Leave me alone, you know. So, and I've done it now, oh, crikey, 12 years, 11, 12 years. It's been, and I like it because of the structure and you have to be quite determined and you have to be committed to it.
Great program for forcing you to focus.
It is, without a doubt. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, when I first started, it had to be sort of one piece of work, but now they're letting you do several short stories to make your total. You can do poems to make your total. So it's made it easier. But that's fine. I mean, if you think, right, I want to do a book of poetry, Nano will give you 30 days to get your stuff in order.
Yeah. Yeah. So what works? What books really influenced you as a child or as an adult?
I would say most of my books as a child were nature orientated, like Wind in the Willows and Winnie the Pooh. They were sort of, I think that's how I grew up, and how, because I was so interested in the natural world, it sort of was a natural way for me to go. Um, and as I've got older, my reading has got very eclectic. I can read sort of cozy little romances and hardcore horror, and so I'm not limited in what I read. Really, it's if the blurb sort of catches my attention, I'm going to read it. Obviously, if you're writing a certain genre, then you should read some of those, because that helps you understand what a reader is expecting.
Well, I would think reading a whole mix of different genres really helps with your writing, because you
Yeah.
could pull in so many different styles and point of view and
Yeah.
everything that you could say, oh, I want to use that in my next book, or here's a
Mm-hmm.
type
Mm-hmm.
of character that I want to use. Where
Sure.
if you
Yeah.
just focused on reading romance or reading mystery, or you're kind of limited.
Well, you're not expanding your skill. You're not, you have to push yourself. So, I mean, occasionally I write poetry. It's not my most favourite thing to do, but I will do it because it's a different way of writing. It's that you have to be finite about your word choices and how, although it doesn't need to rhyme, how you can make it rhyme. So, I mean, in Poetry Month, my writing group did a challenge for the 30 days, but they also did a couple of workshops on poetry. So, obviously, I attended those because there are so many different styles of poetry. So, you can get haikus and you can get villanelles. And so, even in that, you can find something you think, okay, I had no idea how that is written, or how I would make sure I can write it like that. And it just gives you more of an understanding of how vast the genre of writing is. There's so much of it. I mean, because most of my writing is all fiction. I've done some non-fiction, because also I'm a freelance writer. So it flips everything on its, because you can't be like, oh, I'm going to go, this little character does this, that, and the other. Well, I can't do that. If someone says, right, I need you to ghost write a book and I need you to be about this. Okay, then, so any way that you can do writing, if articles or submissions to magazines and contests and things, all of it is a learning process. You'll always find something new if you look. Don't have tunnel vision in how you write something or how you write.
That's a great point. Now, do you self-publish or do you have a publisher?
No, I have a publisher's local to me, and I'm very lucky because they allow all their authors to have quite a lot of input. So if I say, well, no, I actually want a cover to look like this, and I'd like the font to be like this, so that's nice because you've got more control over it. You don't sort of send the manuscript off and then you think, okay, 2 years down the line nothing's happened, can I have it back? So I feel I'm lucky in that respect.
What was that process like, getting your publishing deal?
It was it's just a normal sort of submission, discussion, contract, that sort of thing. But it wasn't like the big, what used to be the big five sort of process, where it goes into a big pile on somebody's desk and you might hear from them and you might not. Because they're local to me, it was more of a hands-on. So I didn't feel that I'd lost control.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. So what kind of advice do you give to, or would you give to other writers, particularly female writers, because this is sponsored by Women's Rights Publishing?
Sure. Well, I think you shouldn't second guess yourself and think, well, am I good enough? Because if you are serious about something and you put the effort in and you do the research and you learn, then you will be good at something. You have to have belief in yourself. Don't think that, just because you happen to be one gender, you're not as capable as another gender. We've all got our strengths and we've all got our weaknesses, but I would say that as a woman, you have more insight into certain things that maybe a man doesn't. When it comes to, care of children or society's pressures on you, we have a unique view of that. So we can use it. We can use that in how we write and who we write, with the character in view, right? So I would say that make sure you have a very supportive group that you can go and actually bounce ideas off or get feedback from. And if you can find courses, do them. I mean, most everything is online now, so it's much easier at the moment. Because you can, wherever the course is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to travel anywhere. And I mean, I enjoy. We have writer in residence programs here, where they will allow you to send them up to 10 pages of a manuscript and they'll go through it for you. And that's through the library system. So they may not write the genre you're writing, but they'll have a unique view of how your story moves them. And so the feedback is, I mean, it's free. You don't have to pay. So that's quite a kudos for anybody that wants someone that is published and is famous to look at their work.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it sounds like you, with writing, that you do what you love. You would probably it's a hobby. It's a
Oh, it's
profession,
more of an obsession, but
an obsession. That if you couldn't write, what else would
oh,
you be doing?
oh, well, that's really difficult. Um, I mean, I've always had a creative soul, always have. So I've done painting and pottery and sculpture, as I said. So if I couldn't do the writing, then I would be doing something else creative. I mean, collaging or whatever it happens to be, because it's part of my expression as a person that I need that to go out.
And that's really the true writer is, this creativity. You have to see the end result of your work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
if you wouldn't, really, it's art. It's more than just putting words on paper. It's art.
Oh, most certainly is, because what you're doing is you're transporting a reader to somewhere else that is not real, but it feels real, and it's come from your head.
Well, we're coming to the end. Is there any parting words of wisdom you want to provide to our viewers?
I would just believe in yourself, find a supportive group, um, learn as much as you can, take as many courses as you can, read a lot, because you need to read a lot to write a lot, and just challenge yourself. Even if it's like, right, I'm going to write 3 short stories this month, and hold yourself accountable to yourself that that's what you're going to do. And the more you do, the better you'll get at it, and the more your creativity will come out.
Well, that's great. Some great advice, some great
Thank you.
information. Thank you so much, Mandy, for your time. We're going to
Thank
post your
you.
links to your books
Okay, thank
underneath the
you.
video. And I encourage all the viewers to also
Yeah.
visit Women's Rights and
Mm-hmm.
check out all that we have to offer as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.